Hi, you guys. Hi, Nitesh, Rohan, SK, and Rama. Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Nitesh. Hi, Rohan.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. I didn't hear that. Did you say something, Nitesh? I think you're on mute. Oh, I can't hear you, Nitesh. No, no. How'd you, no, I can't hear you. Something's wrong with your mic, I think. Yeah, I think just remove that.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Harshika. How are you?
How was your weekend?
My weekend was quite busy actually, and I got so tired. How was yours? What did you do, Harshika?
Boring as usual.
As usual, you guys are in your prime. You should have fun, be crazy. I am good, Nitesh. Thank you for asking. Why is my chat not opening? Wait. My chat is not opening for some reason. Hmm. Huh? Oh, wait, guys. I don't know why. SK, you got a haircut? See? Hmm. Okay, now it's okay. Good evening, SK, Harshita, and Nitesh. I'm good. How are you? Try speaking now, Nitesh. Good evening, Shivank. Good evening, Vaishnavi. Hello, Tejas. You're on mute. I had a dream about
Hello,
Tejas.
ma'am.
Hello. I had a dream about Tejas. It
No,
um
you can't. No, you can't.
I can't. I had a dream because I got so stressed about not covering. So Tejas has been asking me for like I think 3 sessions to cover feedback, receiving feedback, and I always ran out of time. And I always told him that okay, Tejas, in the next session I'll cover it. I had a dream. That I started the meeting and I was like, okay, Tejas, first of all, let me cover the feedback thing. And that's what I dreamt about. I was so stressed that I covered feedback in my dream already. Chandra Bhole saying hello. Okay, guys, let's all turn on our cameras, please. Bear with me. We have 2 minutes. Nitesh is pink because you're wearing a pink shirt. Hi, Nandini. I am good. Good evening, Chandra Bhole. Nandini sends me like the cutest messages. But you should message the on for everyone above 75%. Oh, ooh. Oh, you guys check the attendance turnout? You can see that. I have no access to anything Sunstone related, so I don't know. Am I getting attendance over 75%? Is that what you're saying? Shiva, can you elaborate? No? Okay. I don't know what it means. Hello, Namrata. Good evening, Nafis. Shiva will have to explain what he meant by that. Hello, Tanya. Tanya Kumari.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, guys. Good evening, Namrata. Okay, we are still like only 23 people, 24 now. Uh, thank you. Thank you, Ayush. I make an effort to come for these classes. You should see me at home. You'll be like, who is this? I don't recognize this homeless person. Bear with me. Okay, let's start, guys. So, 100% attendance in college. Okay. I don't understand the context, but okay. I actually requested the feedback for this session. I'm yet to hear from them. I want to see what kind of feedback you guys have been sharing, but they haven't given me the feedback yet. Can I ask everyone to turn on their cameras, guys? Guys, listen. You need to turn on your cameras to get your attendance marked. Don't tell me later that, oh, I attended all the sessions. Why wasn't my attendance marked? Because you need to be on camera throughout the session. Oh, Ayush Tiwari, now I see you. And yeah, so don't tell me later that my attendance wasn't marked. Guys, do you think Sriram Bhamoria looks a little bit like, do you know Sunil Shetty's son? I don't know what his name is. He looks a little bit like him, doesn't he? Can you guys see Sriram? So Sunil Shetty's son came in like one movie, I think, but he starred against Tara Sutaria. So he's quite good looking actually. He looks a little bit. Oh, okay. Is that his name? Ooh, you guys know. Okay. He looks like him a little bit, I think. There's another guy. I don't know if he's in this session or another. There's another guy. No, I think that's another company. He looks a lot like Ram Charan, that actor. So sometimes I get like students who look like celebrities. Okay, guys, let's start. So today's session, because it has given me so much stress, I'm going to start with how to receive feedback, which has repeatedly been asked by Tejas. And this is actually a very, very important topic. And Nandini, okay. So I actually cover this as an entire topic for even managers, to be honest, even managers, and for professionals, it's a very, very important thing. Do you remember how for interview questions, when I was covering the interview questions, I don't know how many of you attended those sessions, but I kept repeating in the good evening, Akshita, in the interview sessions that there are some answers that you always want to give to the interviewer, no matter what they ask you. If you give these kind of answers, it'll always get you good points with the interviewer. So one of these things is to always say that I am a good learner. I always want to learn. I am looking for opportunities to learn, and I look at challenges like learning opportunities. So when they ask you things like, can you describe a challenge that you overcame, or can you talk about some of the challenges that you faced, then you can talk about something small, like a small challenge that you faced at work or in college. And then you say, but you know what? I don't look at challenges as necessarily a bad thing. I think challenges are opportunities to learn, and I always want to learn something new, even if I learn the hard way. I focus on the learning and the skills that I pick up, the problem solving that's involved, some of those things you can talk about. Similarly, for feedback, receiving feedback is something that we look for in professionals. So even as a trainer, as an interviewer, or as any sort of mentor or supervisor for anybody, we hate people who don't know how to take feedback. So they just, I don't know why they just asked this, but it's very, very it's very critical for you to be a good receiver of feedback. Now I'll tell you what the general trend is. What happens is, whenever anybody, Shivank, turn on your camera. Anytime anybody is receiving feedback, Shivank, turn on your camera. Yes. So I know when you guys are being naughty, Yeah. So you don't turn off your camera now. Yeah. Tell them to get out, whoever it is. So whenever we give feedback, especially when it's negative feedback, I'll tell you what the general trend and the pattern is. So let's say I call Palak, all right, and I say, Palak, I have to share some feedback with you. Come to the meeting room or the conference room. The first thing is Palak will start to get very defensive because she'll get scared. She'll be like, okay, why am I getting feedback? What kind of feedback is it? Generally, it's negative. Unless somebody's praising you, you get to know that it's negative when you've done something wrong. So people go into a feedback session already with a defensive mindset, that why am I being called? What's wrong? What's going to happen? So you are kind of a little on guard. You know how you are on guard? So your guard is up and you have a wall up. So you go into it defensive. Then generally if you defensive, your body language will also be defensive. So you are standoffish, you keep distance between yourself and the person who's sharing the feedback, and then you are being distant by, this is a shield. Okay, so anytime you, wait, let me show you. So anytime you do this, you are defending yourself. Yeah, Shivang, I see you. So you are defending yourself, and this is kind of a defensive pose. Do you know how if somebody is trying to hit you, you do this, you guard yourself like this? So it's kind of like psychologically it's considered as a defensive pose. So be also aware of this pose when you're sitting in an interview, in a feedback session, or any meeting. If you sit like this, you're, I have to keep doing this. So if you're sitting like this, you're showing the other person that I'm being defensive and I'm not open to you. I'm closing myself off to you. So it's not a good body language sign to give. First is that. Then what we notice is, because I've also shared feedback, it's my job to share feedback with people. So my job as an auditor, when I am on a production floor and I'm sharing feedback with professionals, I am basically pointing out the things that they've done wrong. So when I tell them that, okay, you did this, they're like, no, 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 no. So their first instinct is to defend themselves. No, no, no. Actually, what happened was blah, blah, blah. So they start giving me justification. So justification, over explanation, defensiveness, this is human nature. Because when you're receiving feedback, and especially if it's negative, you feel like you're getting attacked. So you're like, no, I have to defend myself. Don't do that. That's the first mistake. Don't defend yourself. Don't give explanations or excuses, and don't argue. So that's something that you have to remember while receiving feedback. No matter how the feedback is being given to you, sometimes the feedback can be given aggressively. So if you have an unprofessional manager or a supervisor, they can even yell at you. Tejas, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? What the hell are you doing on the call? What are you doing in the email? How did you get an escalation? And you can be like, why are you yelling at me in front of everyone? That is so unprofessional. Which it is. I agree, it is unprofessional. So sometimes you may get a message in a way that you will not appreciate. It's the feedback is being given to you in the wrong manner. Then you have to be mentally mature to focus on the message and not how it's being given. Do you understand? So don't focus on the fact that they're yelling at you. Don't focus on the fact that they're yelling at you in front of everyone. Focus on what's being said. Did you actually do something wrong? If you did something wrong, what is being said to you? Focus on that. If in case it's an exception and you didn't actually do anything wrong and they are misunderstanding the situation, even then let them vent out. Then tell them, okay, can I get a meeting with you real quick? Can I sit with you for 5 minutes? And then explain the situation to them that I actually did not do anything wrong, and let them absorb that and accept that. But it's an exception. In case you were actually wrong, don't focus on how the feedback is being given. Just listen to what they are saying, pick out the learning from it. What did I do wrong? How could I have done it right? If they are only focusing on what you did wrong, ask them, okay, I'm so sorry this happened. Can you tell me how I could have done it better? Focus on that. Focus on the error and how to fix that. So one is not to be defensive, not to be argumentative, not to be overly explanatory. The, oh, no, 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 this happened, that happened. We don't look at it explanation, we look at it as excuses, honestly. So the person who's giving you feedback will think, stop with the excuses, just listen to what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you something. So look at feedback as a learning opportunity, problem solving opportunity. Listen to what's being said. Don't argue, don't be defensive, don't give excuses. Listen calmly. And now I'll tell you how to do it even better. So when you receive feedback, listen calmly, let them finish, accept your mistake. If there's been a mistake, accept it. If there's not been a mistake, calmly explain to them that this is what happened. Okay, so what could I have done better? So if there's been a mistake, say, I'm so sorry. This is the reason it happened. Could you tell me how I could have done this differently? Or what is the ideal way of doing this? When they tell you, okay, this is how you should have done it, make a note of it. Guys, anytime you're going for feedback, if you know that you're going to receive feedback, or if you're going into a meeting, please carry a notepad with you. Every company will give you a notepad for free. Carry that notepad or carry a diary, go into your feedback. When they're giving you the feedback, write it down to show them that you are taking it sincerely. So this is a sign, you're giving them a physical sign that not only am I okay with receiving feedback, I'm also noting it down for my reference. Yeah, so you note down your feedback and you ask them, okay, what can I do better? Note it down. That's enough, to be honest, and that's a good way of receiving feedback. If you want to go over and beyond, you note down the feedback and you note down the action plan. Action plan is what you can do better in order to be better in the future. And after 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month, you take that same notepad, go back to the person who gave you feedback and say, I noted down this feedback that you gave me and I noted down how to work on it, and I have been working on it. Have you seen a difference? Am I doing better? That is like going above and beyond. Yeah. So that is how you receive feedback. Any questions, guys? Tejas, any questions? No? Okay, I can sleep peacefully now. Okay, guys, do we have any questions about this? So you can always ask me. So Tejas asked me something completely random, and this is more like leadership related, or feedback, emotional intelligence, blah blah, a lot of different topics. But if you ask me anything, I will give you the answer. So feel free, don't limit yourself to only language or accent. You can always ask me anything you want, and if you don't want to ask it here, you can always message me on LinkedIn and ask me. Okay? Yes, Tejas.
As you had said that when it's not your mistake and then they are yelling at you, so like you don't have to be over explanatory at that time. So how
Yeah.
can you be like covering up yourself? Like they are making it up for you. So how
Yeah.
can you do that? Like how can you defend on that?
Okay, that's a good point. So, guys, what happens is the way arguments fester and the way arguments escalate is when one person is yelling and you also start yelling, right? So, if one person is being reactive, which is wrong, hi Ajay, if one person is yelling, they are being wrong anyway. You are not supposed to react at work. There's a rule, guys, for professionalism which says you can only respond at work, you can't react, which means that there is no place for any emotional outbursts at work. You can't be like emotional, angry, overly excited. You have to keep your emotions in check while you're at work, and that makes you a professional. So if somebody is losing their temper and yelling at you, whether for the right reasons or wrong reasons, it's wrong anyway. They're not supposed to yell at you, they're not supposed to be reactive. If you start answering or clarifying yourself, it's going to agitate them further. So if they're yelling, they are going to yell even more. That no, shut up when I'm talking to you. Let me talk. Let me tell you, you did something wrong. Blah, blah, blah. So you are pouring gas in fire, right? So they're already angry, you're further agitating them. So a good idea is to just listen to them, let them vent out. Even if they're wrong, let them vent out. And if you feel like you've been embarrassed or humiliated in front of a team or something, then let them calm down. Tell them, can I get into a meeting with you? I've done that in the past with my manager. I've told them, can we get into a meeting? I clarified my stance. I said I did not actually do something wrong. And if they understand that and they're like, oh, okay, sorry, I overreacted, then you can say something like, I would really appreciate it if you could tell the team also, because you did humiliate me in front of them. But you cannot do that in front of the team. You cannot challenge somebody's authority in front of the team, because then wo ego pe le lenge that you like, okay, I'm a boss, I yelled at you, but you also yelled back at me in front of my team, so it will become a problem. So we are looking to de-escalate tension, not increase it. Yeah, there should be a difference between argument and healthy conversation. Yes. So Piyush, we're talking about a situation where a superior yells at you when you are not even at fault. Yeah. So there we will just listen to them, ask for a meeting and calmly explain to them. And if you feel like you've been humiliated, you can tell them that, could you also relay this to the team, because I felt like I was embarrassed in front of them. I would really appreciate that. And in most cases they will. If they don't, guys, I'm telling you something, like kind of, yeah, yes, Piyush. So I'm kind of arming you, giving you ammunition. There is something called a skip in most companies. There's something called a skip, which means that if I'm an associate and I have a manager, then his manager, which is generally a senior manager, if I'm not happy with the manager, I can always ask for a skip, which means skipping hierarchy, skipping one position. So anytime you feel like if your manager is being very unreasonable, very unprofessional, not listening to you, not taking feedback, you try to talk to them, you asked for a meeting and they're not accepting their mistake, then you can use your skip. Then you can actually go up to the senior manager and say, can I please get a meeting with you for 5 minutes, a casual meeting, a break, maybe I just want to talk to you for 5 minutes. And then you can tell them that, listen, my manager did this and I did try to talk it out with them, but they're not being cooperative. Can you help me understand, or can you guide me what to do in this situation? So you're basically asking for their advice, but you're basically getting them into trouble, because then the senior manager will talk to them. But you have to do all these things very diplomatically. Never go to a skip and say, I want to complain about I did that. I want to complain about my manager. So these are like the wrong things to do. I learned the hard way. You can say, I need your advice on something. Can I just talk to you for some suggestions, some advice on how to tackle this situation? Shivank, are you asking me a question? Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry, my cursor was there. My bad. Okay, guys, do we have any more questions? Okay. So you can always ask me these situation-based questions, guys, or anything that you want to ask me. All right, so we will start with the accent neutralization training today, guys. And I will start training you on, so some of you did comment in the beginning when my session started that, ooh, you sound different, your accent is really nice, your pronunciation is a certain way. By the end of this week, you should also essentially sound like me, because I will tell you why I sound like this and why my pronunciation or accent is different maybe than yours. So I will tell you everything, all right? And you can always ask me questions and I will basically cover sounds. So we will cover all the sounds in the English language. Guys, this is for English. So please don't be like, what's wrong with Hindi? Or why are we so obsessed with English? This workshop is literally for English, all right? So this is to better your pronunciation and make it more smooth and neutral. Let me address a couple of things. First of all, the reason why this session is called accent neutralization. Can somebody tell me what you understand by accent neutralization? What do you mean by accent neutralization? Does anyone know? Yeah. You can just unmute yourself, Tejas. You don't have to ask.
Accent neutralization can be mean like the way we have learned the English from our childhood and the way we are learning it now, and the professional communication about things. So how do we have the accent of that thing? Like there are different kind of accents, but what accent do you should have?
Okay.
Your professionalism.
Okay. And what is the role of the word neutral here? Piyush, that is not grammatically correct. The E, speaking with ease, is that what you mean? Speaking with ease? Okay. All right, guys. Can anyone guess? And you can guess, guys. There are no wrong answers. You can always guess, and you don't always have to give me right answers. Can anyone guess what's the role of the word neutral here? Anybody? Where's Nandini?
Neutral,
Yeah.
neutral means to clarify our words in a common, not in common word, but in easy words.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Piyush, that makes sense in a neutral way. Farhat is saying balance, which is also a good word. Okay,
It's
so
like
let
the
me,
balance between right and wrong.
could you repeat that, Rohan?
It's a balance between right and wrong.
Okay, so I will say this, thank you, Rohan, that there is no right or wrong here, because when we're talking about accents, there is no right or wrong. Let me first explain to you. Do you remember that one exercise that we did where we tried to figure out how many English speaking countries are there, the native English speaking countries, and we decided that there were 5 native English speaking countries, which means that those countries have English as their first and only language. I think Canada is the only exception where they speak two official languages, English and you have to unmute yourself.
And
Maybe
if we don't
Dutch.
know the answer, how will we unmute ourselves?
No, he's giving the answer, but he was on mute. Yes, Reshma. No, Manish, in Canada, the two official languages are English and French. French, yeah. So, with the exception of that, 5 countries where they speak English as the first language are US, England, not UK, England, America, England, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. These are the 5 countries. Apart from these 5 countries, guys, everyone speaks in an accent. Every country has their own accent. Italian will talk like this, yeah. Spanish, who can do a Spanish accent way? Spanish is also kind of like the systematic approach of learning a new accent. Tanya Kumari is giving me like a very technical definition. Yeah, okay. A new accent. Maybe not. I'll tell you, Tanya, why not. So every accent, French accent. So in French accent, for example, all the croissant that you hear, Paris. So Paris in French accent is actually Paris, just Paris. Yeah, France. France. They don't even say France, right? Like us or France. They say France. So every accent is different. Any country that does not have English as their first language will have an accent. That's normal to have. So there is no wrong or right as such. I'll tell you what accent neutralization is. So when India started having all these multinational companies starting their base in India, they moved their businesses to India, especially with the call centers in the beginning when the call centers came to India and all these multinational companies. Call centers, guys, call centers has like a very bad reputation. People talk about call centers as if they are so dirty. I learned everything that I've learned at call centers, including my accent. I have never been trained on accent, guys. I have never been trained on an accent. I have never been trained on grammar. Whatever I've learned at 2 call centers, only the 2 jobs that I had, one with IBM, and there's a company called EXL, which used to be Vertex. I joined Vertex when I was 21. And I just learned from my trainers. There were trainers like me there who trained me. And then I picked up the accent from the people that I was speaking with. So when I was in IBM, I was speaking with Americans. When I was in Vertex, I was speaking with Brits. So I picked up and I literally learned my accent. Thank you, Piyush. You will learn too. So I picked up the accents only by talking to them. And grammar, I kind of already had good grammar, but I also had to learn how to teach grammar. Speaking well and teaching somebody the concepts are 2 different things, but that's how I learned, first of all. So there is nothing wrong with call centers. And to be honest, I got trained for free in call centers. In fact, I got paid to get trained. Now I'm charging people to train them. So see how it's different. So there's nothing wrong with call centers. So what happened was, guys, in I think late 90s, early 2000s, late 90s, outsourcing, BPOs is business process outsourcing. Outsourcing started in India. So I think it started with America. American companies started sending the call centers to India because India has a huge population of English speaking people, right? We speak very good English. So they were like, okay, these people speaking in English, they're cheaper than our labor. Let's send our business there. So when the call center started, they realized that Indians have an accent. Right? We have a very strong Indian accent, which is still made fun of. So if anybody's seen The Simpsons, the cartoon animated show, The Simpsons, Apu, yeah. So Apu has like the Indian accent, but it's actually a South Indian accent that he does. So when they started sending businesses to India, people were speaking in English, but people were not understanding the accent because the Indian accent was too strong. And Americans were like, who the hell are we talking to? We don't understand what they're talking about. Their accent is too strong. Oh, okay, Nandini. Okay, Nandini, no problem. You just listen. So when the Americans started talking with Indians and Indians were in customer support, they started getting a lot of negative feedback that we don't understand what they're saying. Their accent is too strong. Where are our calls being routed? Blah, 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 something like that. That's okay. So Then the Americans said, we'll train them on accent. We will train them on our accent. And that's how accent training started. It was called accent training or voice and accent training. You must have heard VNA or voice and accent training. That was what voice and accent training was, that Americans would come to India and they would train Indians to learn the American accent. Yeah. So do you remember what I told you earlier, like water and better and fast and first, all those things? So they were teaching us these things that, okay, Indians, nah, yeah, all of that. So they were like, learn the American accent so that you can talk to Americans in an American accent, and then they will not know that they're speaking with Indians. That's how the accent training started in India, right? But there's a difference between living in a country throughout your life and picking up that accent. You see how like all these actresses, Bollywood actresses, they go to US and they give one international interview and they sound so fake, and all the comments on Instagram was like, what is this accent, what is this nonsense? Yeah, because yeah, Tejas.
You know, do you know, I मतलब मुझे पता था कि ये आएगा, कभी ना कभी आएगा और आप कभी ना कभी बोलोगे.
सब
Do you,
करते हैं.
but I want to tell you one thing. Do you know about the singer King? Maybe his name is King.
Okay.
तो उसने जब कांस रैंप पे करा था तो उनका एक्सेंट देखा था आपने, कितनी बातें हुई थी उनके एक्सेंट पे. एक बार आप देखना, किंग की
Okay.
कुछ और एक है.
So most of them do this. A lot of the celebrities, they will speak very differently in India, and as soon as they go out, they sound very different, and people are like, hey, what is this? We know you're not like this. Yeah, so we are like this. So Nandini is DMing me, Urvashi. I love Urvashi Rautela, by the way. I love her. She is amazing. She's super cute. I like her. But of course, yeah, she also does like the fake accent. But everyone does. Even Priyanka Chopra does it. She does it well, but everyone does it, right? So there's a difference between living in a country and acquiring the accent. So do you see how NRI kids, hello Bobby, Radhe Radhe Bobby. So do you know how NRIs don't have that fake accent because they were born there. They acquired the accent naturally. You cannot train somebody for 2 weeks or a month and expect them to have an authentic accent. The accent will not sound authentic or genuine. That's the problem. So what happened was, when they started voice and accent training and they started training people on the American accent, and people started and they started doing all that, they started sounding very fake. All right. And Americans would know that, come on, you're not American. They would say that, right? So then they had to change their approach and the tactic. So then they learned that instead of teaching an accent, so instead of teaching people to put on a fake American accent, let's just bring them to a point. Yeah, Reshma, I agree. Oh, I think it's Anshi Jain that I was talking about that day, who looks very young. No, it's actually Anshi, and there's another girl who looks very, very young. But anyway, so then they realized, guys, the companies that were outsourcing business to us, they realized that rather than teaching us an accent to put on a fake accent, let's remove their accent, the Indian accent, and bring them to a more neutral place where their accent isn't so heavy. Do you understand, Harshika? Guys, are you not allowed to unmute yourself? I will unmute you. Oh, am I not allowed to unmute you? Wait, I haven't claimed hostship. Yeah, Harshika.
No, ma'am. आप मिडिल में थोड़ा लैग करने लग गए थे तो मुझे लगा कि लाइक वीडियो स्टक हो गया.
Okay. Because I was noticing her expression changing a little bit, and I was like, why is she not understanding what I'm saying? Guys, hang on a second. I'm just gonna claim my hostship. I am the host. Don't you forget that. Okay, and then I will be able to mute or unmute anyone. So yeah. Yeah, she does look like a kid. Nandini is saying Anshi is a kid. You look like a baby, Anshi. All right, guys. So so that's how we moved away from accent or voice and accent training, and then we came back to accent neutralization. Accent neutralization is about neutralizing your accent or making it balanced or neutral so that it's not very Indian heavy, nor is it like American heavy. So it's just in the middle where it's easy to understand. In order to neutralize the accent, Harshita, are you able to understand everything? Harshita Bilare?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So guys, in order to neutralize the accent, and I don't know if you realized, guys, I write things differently. For example, I spell neutralize like this, whereas some people spell it with a Z or a Z. That's because I follow British English, and in British English, these words are spelled with an S, and in American English, they're spelled with a Z. But you can always ask me these questions. Hey, why are you spelling it differently? Don't you know how to spell? I actually don't. My spelling is terrible. So sometimes I may make a spelling mistake and you can correct me then. So yeah. So in order to neutralize your accent, guys, there is a concept called MTI. Does anyone know what MTI stands for? Any guesses? Interesting. Piyush is like, interesting concept. Yes, Reshma. Do you know I discussed this in the last session? Yeah, Ayush, I'm coming to you. I discussed this. I will let somebody else answer in a second. Yes, Ayush.
Ma'am, mother tongue influence.
You Googled this, didn't you? You naughty boy. Yes, you did. No, you did. Okay. Okay, that is the right answer, guys. MTI stands for mother tongue influence. So the influence your mother tongue has, that's what MTI means. Anshi, it's not just your figure, Anshi, it's also your face. You have a baby face. Okay, so Reshma is saying, do you agree that most of the Indians go with the British accent? Who will answer this for Reshma, guys? We discussed this in the previous sessions. Namrata?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell Reshma what we discussed about this? Why we tend to have more of a British accent, Indians? Do you remember?
I'd say that as we are supposed to be ruled under Britishers, that we get a British accent.
Dude, why do you have an accent, Reshma?
Me-
You
Oh
have an
yeah,
accent.
like since childhood I was like super habituated for this language, so that's the reason that I have this accent.
Where did you pick up this accent from?
No, I haven't got signs anywhere. It's just me, like the people, you people usually use it to go with your mother tongue, so that's the reason. Like I usually go like with English, like as opposed like my comfort language. That's a language where I can express my feelings and emotion, everything like with picture clarity.
Oh, look at everyone's expression. Everyone's like, wow.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
actually, this makes me like I'm a bachelor
You're a what?
after graduation. Like I worked at college, and before that, I've been to an interview where I was being selected for training teachers and students for their language and for accent. And you won't believe that I've been interviewed for literally 1.5 hours. Just like they just want to make confirmation that I was speaking my accent, or is it for real?
Okay.
Oh yeah,
But have you
yeah.
ever stayed anywhere else, or did you study
No,
anywhere
no,
else?
no, no. No,
Okay.
I haven't studied anywhere else. I'm a proper Andhra Pradesh.
Ooh, okay. I'll tell you something, guys. While she sounds amazing, she has a really nice accent. Even I'm impressed. I'll tell you one thing where it's a rookie mistake. I'll just tell you one little thing, and thank you, Reshma, for pointing it out. You sound amazing, though. I love your accent. What happens is, guys, I'll tell you something. Do you remember how I was telling you about the patterns of both the accents, American and British? So Reshma is rolling her L's and R's, which is why she sounds very American. So she's, like that she's doing the O, rolling her L's and her R's. It's making her sound like an American, right? The American accent. However, she's also pronouncing her T. So for example, she said interview. So there she pronounced the T, interview, like that. Now only the British would say interview, because Americans will even roll their T. Remember I told you about the patterns? Don't focus on this too much. This is just, I'm sharing just the concept of this. So Americans roll their T's also, and they would say interview. They will not say interview like British. They'll say interview. They will not even say British. They'll say British. British. Yeah. So what happens is sometimes when we try to acquire an accent, we have to be careful to stick to either American or British. Most people will not even realize, like in Reshma's case, she was speaking and you guys were like, very nice, which is cool. It is cool. And she does have a very nice accent. She sounds very nice, but she was also mixing both the accents. And I will just tell you how to differentiate between the two. And then you pick one. So you pick either American or British, whichever you like better. Pick that and try to stick to one and don't mix it too much, because for us, we'll be impressed. It sounds really nice. But when you speak to a native English speaker, they'll be confused as to like, what's going on? And this happened with me. I was sitting with a client, guys. I was sitting with
Sorry
an
to
American.
interrupt you, but I just want to tell you, even I face this, when I've been teaching in a college, like I've been teaching for the graduation students, like my chairman, like it was like, could you please just repeat what you're talking about, because I couldn't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I think your accent, Reshma, is closer to American. It's you have a lot of American sounds. So I think you you focus more on American and remove the British sounds from your accent. So then you will sound
Yeah,
like one accent, yeah? And
yeah,
I'll tell you
yeah.
what it is. I will tell you. So like just like this, guys, the LRT that I was talking about, everything is rolled in American. So they say interview, and you know, internet, how we say internet in British, internet becomes, yeah, Tejas. भाई अनम्यूट तो कर लो यार. अच्छा नहीं, ऐसे दूर दूर से सुन लो, ठीक है. So guys, internet also becomes internet for American, internet. Yeah, so everything changes. So if you are speaking in American, then you can't say internet. Then you will have to say internet if you want to maintain an accent. So to give you the simplest examples, the ones that I gave you last time, Reshma, I don't think you attended those sessions. So for your clarification, I'll tell you that in British, you overpronounce the T and you don't pronounce the R, which is why we say letter and better. Letter and better. It's okay, guys. Ayush and Nitesh. Stop. So stop. Stop. Yeah. So in British, it'll be letter and better. But in American, because they roll their LRT, it becomes like letter and better. Letter and better against letter and better. Yeah. So we just have to pick up on those patterns. Pattern in American, pattern in British. Yes, Tejas.
Just one thing. Can you do it? Can you do a tongue twister?
Tongue twister. Tongue twister. We will do tongue twisters as a part of this. We will come across tongue twisters for everything. So we'll do loads of tongue twisters. So just letting you guys, see, I'm also mixing. I just said letting you guys, which is American, letting you guys know that this is what the pattern is like. T, it'll be T because the T sound is the same. It won't be it won't be because it's starting with a T. Then it'll stay as T. However, if T is in the middle of something like pattern or letter or water, then it'll be rolled. Yeah. Let me give you a real life example of this, guys. So do you remember how when I was working for the British process, and that's where I picked up my British accent from. I had a very close friend there, okay? His name was Shailesh, and we were like really good work friends. And we would always bully each other. That was our friendship. So he used to like Katrina Kaif a lot, all right? And I did not like her back then. And he would be like, why don't you like her? And I would tell him that I don't like her because she claims to have grown up in England. So she claims that her citizenship is British. However, she has an American accent. Okay. And he said, oh girl, what bakwas. Okay. She does not have an American accent. She has a British accent. And I said, dude, we speak British, right? Because we were speaking our British accent was so thick back then, I can't tell you, because we were speaking to British people all day. I could not say words like number, Monday, Tuesday. I could not say that. I used to say it like number, and Monday, Tuesday. I used to talk like that back then. So my British accent was very, very strong back then because we were speaking with the British the entire day. So we got into an argument, and like a mature guy, he said, "You're jealous of Katrina Kaif." And I was like, what argument is that? And he's like, no, you're just jealous of that. So I said, okay, let's go watch a movie. And we had a bet. Okay, so we had a bet, and our bet was that I said her accent is American, and he was saying that it is British. We went to watch Ajab Prem Ki Gajab Kahani. Okay, when we started watching the movie, he's like, "Abhi dekhna, kya besti ho gaya, abhi dekhna." I was like, "Acha, wait." So the movie started, and her entry scene, her first dialogue in the movie is that she goes to a mall and she goes to a pet store and she says, "Bhaiya, bhaiya, mera puppy aa gaya kya? Maine aapko advance bhi diya tha first ko." She says this. I remember this accent. Okay, she said, "Bhaiya, bhaiya, mera puppy aa gaya kya? Maine aapko advance bhi diya tha first ko." So I just looked at my friend and he's like, okay, yeah, it's American. It's American because it's okay, Sujal. So it's American because in British, you don't say first, you don't say advance. In British, what do you say, guys? Who will tell me? Yes, Arshika. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's okay. How would you say it in British? It's okay. Now you have to. Tell me, Harshika, how will you say first? So first is American, and Reshma would probably say first in American. And how would you say it in British? Who wants to try? Do you remember I told you they don't pronounce the R's? Yes, they just. हाँ ठीक है पहले ये कर लो हाँ Harshika, unmute yourself. I want Harshika to try.
क्या बोले?
क्या बोलूं? First को बोलो British में?
First.
Good. See, you were right. It is first, because they don't roll their R's. They don't pronounce the R, and that's why it's first. Yeah. So it won't be first like American. It'll be first. And also, guys, she said, "मैंने advance भी दिया था." Advance is American. British is
Advance.
Indian तरीके से बोलो, guys.
Advance.
Advance.
भाई इतना
Advance.
अमेरिकन हो गया तेजस, इसको एडवांस
Advance.
से उतर ही नहीं रहा है. एडवांस
Advance.
Yes.
Sorry, ma'am. I was just thought like I was getting so much in accents. That's why I've got confused and all the
I
things.
feel
Sorry, ma'am.
American. Yes, Piyush.
And it should be advance.
Advance. Advance is the so what Reshma her name is Reshma, right? Reshma, what Reshma said earlier was that our accent will always be closer to British, guys. So anytime you have to differentiate between advance and advance, British and American, always think what is closer to Indian. Indian accent will always be closer to British because we learned British English. So whatever we learned as Indians will always be closer to British, and the other one is American. So advance versus advance. Advance is American, advance is British, fast is American, fast is Indian or British,
Ma'am,
sorry.
a quick question. How would you
Yes.
say prior in British?
What?
How would you say prior?
Could you write it in the chat box? Guys, prior will remain prior, but it'll be like prior versus prior, rolling the R for American and prior for British. So do you remember the burger activity that we did? Our parents say burger, and Americans will say burger, like with a R, and British will just say ba and g. That's it. Burger, because they don't pronounce their R's. Pragyan, are you having fun with this? Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, that's the pattern, guys. And you have to remember that whichever sounds closer to Indian will be British. It's just that British tend to overpronounce things. So they'll say burger, and we'll just say burger, you know, simple, and we'll say water, and they'll be like water. So they overpronounce everything. And Americans sound very casual in how they talk, and they're like water, glass, water, can I have a glass of water? And British will be like, can I have a glass of water? So they're very proper versus proper, you know. So that's the difference, just letting you know. But you don't have to learn all this. I'm just telling you all this to set the context of how the accents are different. Acha, ye to matlab entertainment chal raha है. It's like now Australian karo, now Canadian karo. So so generally, guys, just letting you know that while every country has their own accent, the main two accents are American and British. And remember that tip that I had told you, that anytime you want to check the pronunciation or accent of a word, you just go to the dictionary, look at UK versus US, and play the speaker, and you will hear every word said in American versus British. Yeah, so that's how you know the difference. If you are interested in accents, you can do that, guys. If you're interested, if you like the British accent better, there are so many British shows, even on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. You can watch those British shows. All my favorite shows are British shows. They are so funny. And if you like American better, like Reshma, then you can watch more American shows. Like you can watch Friends, you can watch How I Met Your Mother, all those shows. Yeah. So depending on what you like better, you can chill. Why is she telling me to chill, Reshma? Are you telling me?
I'm just telling that you're telling me to watch like American, you know, series or something which were there. So it was like cool and chill, okay, just like that.
Okay, yeah. Lucifer is also American, Sujal, so you can watch Lucifer as well. Yeah. So yeah. So guys, only if you're interested. So see, interested is British. Interested is more American. So it'll always be different. Only if you're interested in a certain accent, you can try to pick up like look at the patterns and stick to them. Don't keep shuttling between accents. Otherwise, you don't need an accent, guys. You just need to neutralize your accent, and that's enough. But if you are interested, then you can learn more about accent. Fast and Furious is American, yes. So guys, we were talking about MTI, or the mother tongue influence, which basically means that whatever your mother tongue is, including, and not just us, including Italians, French, Greek, Spanish, whatever, Russians talk like this. Yeah, Germans talk very harsh. So every country that is non-English speaking will have an MTI, and their MTI will be based on, yeah, Modern Family is really nice. Oh yeah, Nandini is saying that her American friend said her name very differently. What did Sujal, sorry, wait, what did Piyush ask? I didn't see that. Sorry. What did Piyush ask? I didn't see.
Ma'am, he was asking about a suggestion for some shows where he could improve his English.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry, Piyush, I missed that. So, yeah, Modern Family is a very, very funny show. It is so, so funny.
Ma'am, what did you talk about the Family Guy then?
I would not suggest Family Guy, guys.
You missed the most funniest show there is.
Family Guy?
Yes.
I guess you need to have that kind of humor, like that dark side of that.
Ah, yes, true.
It can be very offensive.
The 9/11 ones are home.
So guys, the Family Guy is politically incorrect. It's a very offensive show because they make fun of everything that is politically correct. So if you're into that kind of humor, you can watch it. Piyush, some safe shows are like, you know, Friends or How I Met Your Mother is also kind of like PG rated. You can watch Modern Family. It's really funny. Most most shows on all your like Star World or even like Netflix, etc., most of them have mostly American shows. This is called soft power, soft diplomacy in the world, that they've just set pop culture in a way that everything is dominated by Americans, and the entire world, yeah, Stranger Things, the entire world kind of follows American pop culture. They've just set themselves up like that, which is what soft power is. There are some British shows as well that you can watch. I can give you recommendations of British shows. Everything else is mostly American on Netflix, Amazon, everything. Yeah. You can watch those shows and try to pick up the patterns of how they talk. Yeah. So coming back to MTI, guys, MTI, yeah, they just. So MTI is not limited to Indians or South Indians, North Indians, Haryanvi accent, Punjabi accent, Malayali accent, Telugu accent. It's not limited to that. So first thing that you have to understand is that it's not a problem and it's not limited to us. Anyone who doesn't speak English as their first language will have their own MTI, including all these European countries, all the South American countries, everyone, Russia, Ukrainians, so all those people. Yeah. So MTI is your mother tongue influence, which is why I haven't, Sujal. Yeah, Harry Potter is in British accent. So, for example, you know how South Indians are made fun of? I'm a South Indian myself. So you know how they say, yama yanu, or sar. Well, let's not do that, Sujal. So yeah, all of that and how they mispronounce certain things. So I know the Telugus would say things like, because I have trained Telugus and I pick up on the errors that they make. I'm also half Telugu, by the way, so I'm allowed to say this.
You're proper
They-
Telugu.
You're also Telugu? Yeah.
Yeah, pure proper Telugu.
Okay, I'm half Telugu, but I don't speak Telugu. Telugus have the tendency of, you know, whenever they're changing a word into past tense, like switch to switched, they will say switched. I switched the fan off, like they say it like that. So they really stress on the EDs. So that's a pattern, and that's the Telugu MTI. Malayalis would say, my mom, so my mom
Ma'am,
says
there's a
that.
word for close. They say close. Like the word comes no door, door. Like they have the D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that.
I
So
have
they
a few
will
friends
all,
who do that as regular.
yeah, you will always have these patterns, guys. I could hear somebody speaking in English and I can tell where they're from because of these patterns of MTI that they have, which is fine. Everyone has that.
A quick
Basically,
question, ma'am. Could you make an assumption from where I would be living by the English I speak? I mean, with the English I speak?
you just wrote that you live in Chennai.
I live in Chennai, but that's just like past 1 year. So can you make an assumption based on my accent?
It does sound a little South Indian, to be honest.
I am a Gujarati.
I know your name is Shah, but
Yeah,
I'm
like
saying that
have been living there. I just
yeah,
came
so
recently to Chennai.
I think because you're living down south, it started influencing your accent now, which is the MTI. So MTI doesn't always mean that it has to be a mother tongue. It's about whichever language you are around, it'll start affecting your English also. So it'll start creeping into your English also. That's the MTI. So accent neutralization is basically removing that mother tongue influence and coming to a neutral point. So I will tell you the correct pronunciation of words, and then it's up to you if you want to put on an American accent or a British accent, or just leave it at a neutral accent. Yeah, so we are neutral is in the middle. One side is American, one side is British. It's up to you what you want to say. Normally, the way I actually talk in a neutral accent all the time. I'm not speaking in a British accent. My pronunciation is closer to British. But do you know how sometimes I do more of this? This is more British. Normally, I speak in neutral. So that's the difference. So I don't always speak in British. I try to speak in neutral. And once we're through this, you should also get closer to neutral, and then you can decide how you want to speak. Are we okay so far? This was just the introduction about accent neutralization. I will tell you the basics of accent neutralization today, and then we'll start working on the sounds tomorrow onwards. Guys, also just letting you know, I didn't even know this. I was informed today that Holi is on the 14th. I didn't know that. So I think our last session was actually scheduled for the 14th. And let me just check. Yeah, so it was scheduled for the 14th. And so then I got an email today saying that because it's Holi, we cannot do it on the 14th. So what we're going to do is that tomorrow we'll have a normal session, 8:30 to 9:30. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have 1.5 hour sessions. Instead of 1 hour, we'll have 2 1.5 hour sessions so that we are able to finish on Thursday and you don't have to come for the session on Friday, and you can just go home, have a long weekend. Yeah, Piyush, that happens. So yeah. So then tomorrow we'll work on sounds, and then day after also we'll complete sounds, and then I will do something called syllable stress on the last couple of days, and then syllable stress will fix your pronunciation really well. Okay, so now that we have understood MTI, Tanya, Kumari, so now that we've understood MTI and how we have to remove the MTI in order to get to the neutral point where you can have a neutral accent, you've understood so far, right, guys? The concept of accent neutralization and accents. Yes? 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 Okay. Okay. So now let me tell you why we are going to do sounds. Yeah. So I'll give you an introduction into sounds, guys. So if I had to write down, let's say the equivalent of these letters. Do you remember we discussed how there's one alphabet and the rest are letters? Excuse me. So now we'll do letters. All right. If I had to ask you what's the Hindi, because I speak Hindi, guys, I don't know how to write South Indian script or any other language for that matter. We are so lucky, guys, by the way, that not only do we have so many languages in India, like when you go to another country, they will just have one language. Like if you go to Italy, they'll have Italian. If you go to Greece, they'll have Greek, like that. And we have so many languages. Not only do we have languages, but we have scripts also, which means that when we write a language, it's written in a different script every time. Punjabi is different, Gujarati is different, Malayalam is different. We are very rich culturally, so always take a lot of pride in that we are good. We have more than the rest of the world. So I will take Hindi examples because I only know Hindi. So guys, if I had to ask you what's the equivalent for these letters in Hindi, can somebody tell me what's the equivalent? Let's not go there, Sujal. These are political conversations. Arey bhai Bobby, because this is accent neutralization training. This entire training is for you to speak better, to have better accent and pronunciation and grammar. So this entire workshop is for you to be more fluent and sound more neutral. That's why the workshop is called Communication Fundamentals Accent Neutralization. Okay, guys. Sarmat Pakro Ranveer saying, let's do this. So if I had to ask you what's the equivalent of these in Hindi, can somebody tell me what's the equivalent of T in Hindi?
T.
Yeah. तुम हाथ ही उठाते रहना तेजस, मैंने बोला unmute कर लो. And D is?
D.
D. P.
P.
P. K.
K. K.
K. And
Ra.
R. Ra.
R.
Oh, Tejas is like Ra.
No, ma'am. अरे वो गलती से हो जाता है, ma'am. R.
Guys, Bobby is doing the same thing that I told you not to do. Bobby is like, ma'am, why are we preparing to sound like British or American accent? Why? Did our Indian accent not good enough? We are good enough. We're just trying to neutralize it so it's easier to understand. You can choose not to do that and keep your Indian accent if you want, or you can learn this. It's up to you. Nobody's forcing you. Yeah. So Indian accent can be difficult for other people to understand, non-Indians to understand. In fact, guys, if you look at it, even for Indians, it's difficult to understand each other. So North Indians have trouble understanding South Indians. South Indians have trouble understanding North Indians. We all have trouble understanding Northeastern people because their accent is also different. So even within India, there are so many different accents that it doesn't hurt us to remove that accent to come to a neutral point so that everyone sounds kind of similar and easy to understand. So while we were doing this, guys, all of us, so all your answers were similar, right? So T, what have I done? T is the, D is the, upar niche ho gaya. P is P, K is K, and R is R. This is the reason why our sounds are wrong in English, because this is not the same. This is not the same. This is not the same. None of these is the same. They are completely different sounds. For example, let me give you an example. So you said that T, the English T, Tanya Kumari, the English T is the same as T, right? Now, let me give you an example. Let's say an American person comes to India, right? And you take them to the sabji market. So you go to a market and you show them a tomato or a tomato, right? You show an American person a tomato and you tell them, Bobby bolega, this is a tomato. Bobby bolo, tomato.
Tomato.
अरे ये accent कहाँ से आ गया? Is our Indian accent not good enough, Bobby?
Tomato,
टमाटर
ma'am.
का accent कहाँ से है? टमाटर तो टमाटर ही रहेगा ना. सूजल, मेरे को पता था कोई ना कोई बोलेगा. सूजल कह रहा है वाह टमाटर बड़े मजेदार. मुझे पता था कोई ना कोई बोलेगा. Okay, so if I take a tomato and I show it to an American and I say this is a tomato, I'm telling them this is a tomato. How do you think they will say it? Yeah, Tejas.
Tomato.
They will still say tomato. Tomato. I'll say this is tomato. This is tomato, not tomato.
Tomato.
It's not
Tomato.
tomato. It's tomato. They will still say tomato because they have never heard the sound t. T does not exist for them. They have never heard the t sound. T se tomato sound they've never heard. They only know the t sound. That's why even tomato becomes tomato for them. It's a different sound. Similarly, just like they don't know the t sound and they're replacing the t sound with the t sound and saying tomato, we do the opposite. When we have to say today or 10 or tomorrow, we say today, 10 and tomorrow because we are using t se tomato and not t. Do you understand, guys? That's what we are doing. We are mixing the sounds. The sounds are completely different. In the Northeast, if you go to the Northeast, Pragyan, where are you from?
Ma'am, I'm from Assam.
Yes. If you go to the Northeast, you will not see this problem there. Their sounds are closer to the English sounds. I don't know how, but they have taught themselves to always learn the English sounds as different sounds, not mixing them with the Hindi sounds. So with the Northeasterns, you will not hear them say today, tomorrow, 10, tame. They will not say all this. Their sounds will be closer to the English sounds. So the first thing that we have to understand, guys, that they are completely different sounds. So it's not today, it's today. And similarly, D is not equal to D. And because we do the D, we say drum. Drum, bring the drum. So it's not drum, it's drum. So it's a softer sound and we will learn these sounds. And that is why even burger becomes burger or burger because it's softer. Even the R is softer in English. We say R, like Russians. Russians also talk like this. I have a lot of friends from different countries. They also make these mistakes, guys. I had a Russian friend. One day she came to work late. I was working with her and I said, Irina, why are you late? And she's like, oh my gosh, in the morning, I was taking an auto and I was walking and I was walking and I was walking and I couldn't find an auto. Walking. They say walking. It's cute, yeah. So yes, Tejas.
Ma'am, as you said you know about Modern Family, so can you once please do a sound of Sofia Vergara, please?
Oh my gosh, I can't do
Please.
Spanish. I don't know how to do it.
Please.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know. It's a bigger and it's a better. I don't know how she does. She overpronounces the R also, guys.
Man,
South
that was
Americans.
actually super close. That was
Morning.
like super close.
It's close. Okay, I don't know,
Yes.
guys. I'm not good at Spanish. But so imagine we can say walking. We are better. We say I was walking, but Russians.
One last request. One last request. From the Family Guy, can you enact as Lewis for a second or Stewie? Either one of them.
I've actually never watched The Family Guy. I've just seen clips of it. So I've just seen that one clip of mommy, mama, mommy, mommy, mama. That's that clip. That's all I've seen. I have never seen it, but it's just very typically American, I guess. And in American, guys, I'm actually not good at the American accent. I can only do like the Kim Kardashian. So I have to like channel my inner Kim Kardashian. So that's what I do when I have to do American, but I'm not good at American. So basically, I was trying to tell you that every country will have this. So my best friend is Ukrainian actually. So she also talks like walking and talking. She also does that. She used to I corrected her so many times. She used to say, instead of saying clothes, she would say clothes says. So she would make mistakes like yeah. So even don't think that all foreigners speak well, guys. Only native English speakers will speak good English. The rest will also make mistakes. Yeah. So on that note, we will end today's session, and I've just told you basically that you the sounds are not the same, like the t's, they are not the same. Tomorrow when we start, I will show you how to do the sounds correctly. So we'll discuss the sounds tomorrow, but today I just wanted to tell you the difference, guys. I'm sharing the link to the recording for these sessions. If you've missed the previous sessions, or if you want to go back and watch this session, you can click on this link and watch the session here. And for the feedback for this session, guys, you can share the feedback on this link that I'm sharing. This is the link for the feedback. And guys, if anybody wants to go and watch my videos on my YouTube channel, this is the channel name in the chat box. I have videos on accent neutralization also, Vaishnavi, good night. And I have videos on pronunciation, accent neutralization, syllable stress, everything. So if you want to skip the queue, go watch it first. You can do that. You don't have to. Thank you, Nandini. I hope you feel better soon. See you soon. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Tomorrow, let's meet at 8:30 and I will start sounds tomorrow. And if you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow. You're welcome, Shivang. Bye-bye, guys. Good night.
Okay, ma'am. Bye.
Good night,
Bye,
ma'am.
ma'am. All right, good night.
Good night, Tejas.
Good
Bye.
night, ma'am.
You're welcome, everyone. Good night. I'm ending the session because it's sounding too fun. What was that?
Bobby लग रहा है कुछ ज़्यादा ही miss कर रहा है आपको.
Oh, I didn't hear that, Ayush. What was that?
Bobby लग रहा है कुछ ज़्यादा ही आपको miss कर रहा है.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, guys. Have fun.
Ma'am. You also know about Shraddha Kapoor?
Yeah. Oh, she does accents really well, right?
Yeah.
She's very talented.
She has both accents, she said in the interviews.
Yeah.
She said in interviews that like she has a British accent and American accent.
Oh my gosh.
She's like so like bilingual or trilingual. I don't know.
Okay.
Ma'am, you know
Yes,
the
guys.
funniest
Shraddha
thing
Kapoor does
about
great.
She also has an Australian accent, and I have heard to it when I met her in person.
Really? You met her? Are you rich?
I have.
Sujal, are you rich?
To be honest, I am not, but you can say yes.
I'm kidding. All right, guys, I'll let you go. It's late. Go have your dinner. And I will, and she's like, yeah, yes. Okay, let's go. I'll see you tomorrow at 8:30. Okay, guys? Bye-bye. I'm ending the session. Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. Good night.
Good night.